Good afternoon. My report is about a workshop on speech and thought presentation. Speech and thought presentation looks at how a speaker or writer presents the speech or thought of other people. So it says here on how a person create their speech and how they deliver their thoughts and thoughts presentation. Like for instance, if your audience or listener is kids or children, ganyan, dapat appropriate yung speech mo sa audience mo. Kasi if hindi siya appropriate, magkaka-conflict dahil maaring hindi makuha ng attention mo ng speech mo yung attention ng mga bata. The next is range of ways how to present yourself, others, choices made, and impression on the reader or listener. Yes, kapag maganda yung speech mo or yung thought presentation mo, it will reflect on yourself and magre-reflect din ito sa impression ng reader or listener sa'yo. Like for instance, so may example dito. A politician might seek to affect voters' impression of a rival politician by claiming to have access to their thoughts. So yun, 'di ba? As you observe, yung mga speech ng politician is magaganda, 'di ba? And nakaka-persuade talaga ng mga botante or mga tao. Then nagsasabi din sila ng mga pangako like free medicines for senior citizen, ganyan. So through that way nakukuha nila yung thoughts ng mga mamamayan, ng mga listener, and isa yun siyang speech and thought presentation. So the next is speech presentation, direct and indirect speech. So we will go first indirect. Is seen as the norm as it provides a verbatim account of what was said. Okay. When we want to describe what someone said, one option is to use direct speech. We use direct speech when we simply repeat what people or someone says, putting the phrase between speech marks. Like for examples here, Paul came in and said, "I'm really hungry." Number 2, when Mrs. Diaz opened the door, I asked, "Have you seen Lee?" Number 3, she replied, "No, I haven't seen him since lunchtime." And isa talaga sa mga sign ng direct speech is yung word na I. Okay, next is indirect speech. Expresses was said in the words of the narrator. So, when we want to report what someone said without speech marks and without necessarily using exactly the same words, we can use indirect speech, also called reported speech. So, we have examples here. This is direct speech. We have direct speech here. I have a new car. So, direct siya. Indirect speech naman. He said he had a new car. He told me he was going to call Alan. They told her they would arrive a little late. So, diba, sa napapansin nyo, hindi siya direct. Direct na. So, instead of saying I, ginamit niya yung he. He said he had a new car. So, makikita nyo talaga yung differences dito ng direct at indirect speech. So, as alternative to using say, ito yung, di ba? Sana yun? As alternative to using say, we can also use tell or yung past tense niya is told. So, Ganon. Next is thought presentation. Thought presentation differs from speech presentation. So, kakaiba siya sa speech presentation. So, the indirect form that is considered the norm as it comes closest to acknowledging the fact that we do not actually have direct access to other people's thoughts and feelings by not claiming to correspond to the thinker's precise thoughts. So, it means, although we present their perception about that thing, we can't assure on their idea or thoughts about that thing. Like what said here, that we don't actually have direct access to others people's thoughts and feelings. So maybe sa akin madali lang siya, tapos sa iba hindi. So ganun, parang yun, wala kang direct na access sa thoughts ng listener mo. Okay, next. Types of speech presentation. Okay, narrator's report of speech. NRS, she spoke. Yung narrator yung nagsasalita dito. Then narrator's report of speech act. Yes, NRSA, she disagree. Indirect speech, IS, she said that she disagree. So yun, indirect siya. Free indirect speech, FIS, she disagree wholeheartedly. Direct speech, she said, I disagree wholeheartedly. Okay. The last is exploring dialogue. This unit develops a practical activity around this intersection between dialogue, context, and communicative competence. In keeping with work in this branch of discourse stylistics, the activity is designed to provide an analytic method for exploring fiction dialogue. By looking at unusual dialogue, it also seeks to highlight the underlying patterns of non-fictional interaction through the analysis of fictional communication. So that's all for my report. Thank you, sir.